Totally. I made myself a deal that I won't watch any recorded media until I read at least one chapter of a book. And that's really helped me with actually finishing my books these days.
You want to see a picture? You want to see a
Oh,
painting?
sure. Oh, nice. That's a talisman.
Line.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to show you a Sasha Chaitow print from this thing that I got when it came out, because yeah, I've really enjoyed my talking with her in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So a little shout out to Sasha, Dr. Chaitow, and her amazing work. Here we go.
Wonderful.
It's for my patrons who get the full video on Patreon or
Nice.
that.
Crossroads. Nice. Nice.
Yeah. Now this
Beautiful.
one been shown, of course, but it's this one you can see on the ads.
Oh, wow. The dove descending. It's beautiful.
Yeah. It's cautious. I always like to caution people about not getting too many texts, because you need to, yeah, you do. And I hope people appreciate that we've spent this podcast mostly talking about our experiences as well. I hope people got what they asked for, to have two guys just talking mostly about their experiences. Some people might not even, who knows if some people might not like that, I don't know. But it's great talking about experiences. I don't know if we talked about them in the right way, but we'll see.
Oh, I mean, I think that's kind of the point, is that I don't like, having read so much philosophy, I can't help but philosophize and try to reconcile everything that I've experienced in some metaphysical way. So it's like, to me, the structure and the direct experience are two sides of the same coin. Like the structure dictates to me what the quality of the experience is. If I didn't have the structure, I'd just be going, what was that? And then I wouldn't talk about it anymore, because I wouldn't even be able to make sense of it. And so it's this left and right, it's this one foot and this two-step process where the structure through which I understand magic informs the way that I have experiences, and then the experiences that I have recontextualize a lot of what I think my structure of magic was. And so it's this continually march forward where my understanding of magic is constantly evolving with new experiences that I have. And I think that's probably natural. So.
Yeah, it's the hermeneutic circle, and Hans-Georg Gadamer talks about this in Truth and Method when he refers to J.J. Raumbach's philosophical understanding of comprehendi, intelligendi, and interpretendi being a tripartite but unified event. That's a singular action that occurs: comprehension and understanding, and then interpretation. That these things aren't separate. And from there, Gadamer writes his Truth and Method, his massive opus, and I really do think he is the sort of the savior of Heidegger for me, anyway. I also think people need to read more Paul Ricoeur as a good philosopher, who's a fun one to read. You know, get your head out, get people's heads out of like too much Nietzsche and Heidegger and Hegel, and that's all fun stuff, of course, you know. But it's like, I think you have more fun reading Gadamer and Ricoeur and Goethe, honestly. You know, Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. I mean, I love my naturalists. With the view of the Hermetica that's changed since Hanegraaff's recent book, Hermetic Spirituality, did you get to participate in the book study of that in Angela's Symposium?
No, I haven't gotten into Hanegraaff's work yet. Definitely want to.
Because I know you guys did a book study in the Symposium, and that's where we met. For those who don't know, I met you in Angela's Symposium.
Okay. It was great. Yeah.
I finally got up at 8 a.m. to attend one of those early lectures, and so glad I did, because getting to interact with you and like James Vitale and the other cool cats there, and of course some people knew who I was, which terrifies me, because sometimes, you know, we don't say nice things to each other, and then, you know, it's sad. It happened.
Oh,
You know, well, you cross paths with people on Facebook sometimes. It's just like, you know, you're just sort of humdrumming along, and someone's like bumps you, and you're like, what the fuck do you want? And they're like, what the fuck? Move on. If it was real life, things would have probably gone a bit smoother, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, I feel like that's one of the traps of social media, is to keep you as obsessed with possible about the choices of other people rather than your own choices. Like, the more that you focus on your own life and what you're doing, I feel like when you focus on what other people should be doing with their lives, you're giving your power away and you're giving your attention and vitality away. And the more you can redirect to, okay, what do I want to do in response? And a lot of times there's nothing you can do in response. But if you can think about, okay, what's the opposite of what they're doing? How can I start to create that like in myself and in my world to the greatest extent possible? If you can use that as motivation, then I find that anything can ultimately be a positive. This is something we talked about before, but the relationship between severity and mercy. How there's these two sides to Hermetic Kabbalah, and we always want the mercy of all the good experiences. We don't want the severity of the punishments and the challenging experiences. But a big part of that middle path is starting to realize like severity has a purpose. And so if stuff is happening in the world that you don't like, that's because you're being pressured to adapt and change internally in some way. That's my take on it. And I want to figure out like how I need to change to be the solution to whatever problem that I'm seeing. And then the more that I do that, the more I just have a lot more love and acceptance for the world, because I feel that it's always teaching me in some ways, even if it's teaching me harshly at times.
So I was curious to ask you about your sort of psychic proclivities. What's the experience like for you, again, in the ethos of us being men sharing what we actually think, but more importantly, feel?
Yes, yeah. So Clairsentience, this is I'm the same way. And it's so weird because it's just like things have like a texture and a grain to them and a consistency, a viscosity. It's such a weird thing, but that's what I feel is like the viscosity of energy. If something feels like it's flowing easily, if it feels really dense and heavy and like molasses, then I can feel like the consistency of different energies. And I mean, this is the most profound thing to me, but since performing the Akephalos ritual, it's like I can just lift up inside my own body and connect to this divine state of bliss, and then come back down and then be in a more mundane consciousness. And it's as easy as sitting up and sitting down, but it's something that I'm just doing with my consciousness in a clairsentient way. I'm just reaching this higher.